Two pretty great shows on tonight was Night Callers and Squatch Detective Radio. I thought they were both pretty great. Over on Night Callers, they had as their guest Jan Allen, who is an investigator researcher from the state of Georgia, who discussed quite a bit about research over there, including some reports from what county was that? It was a county north of Atlanta. It wasn't Cobb County or anything like that. I want to say Genesee County, but I'm probably wrong on that. Anyway, there appears to be some good activity going on in the state of Georgia, and as there always has been, especially in North Georgia. North Georgia seems to have a good bit of activity. Anyway, it was a pretty great show. Footers was about a lone Indian living in the Amazon, alone, off the grid, and that was a fascinating footers, I thought. It was a fascinating footers, it really was. And I thought that Lauren did a great job on it. It was it kind of, you might say, it kind of gives an example of how Sasquatch can remain undetected. If some Indian that's only occasionally seen can remain undetected, then so can Sasquatch. That was a pretty great show on Night Callers. Next Sunday, they're going to be in the field. They're going to be live from the field next Sunday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. www.blogtalkradio.com/nightcallers. Then on Squatch Detective Radio, there were a variety of topics, including the recent shutdown and reopening of the Bigfoot forums. The BigfootForums.com is back, by the way. Um, After a short absence. And also another topic of discussion was the upcoming roundtable discussion for next week, which will be on the Bigfootery Inquirer and the identity of such. But Steve has made an offer to the Bigfootery Inquirer person that if that person calls in next week, that he will hold off, Steve will hold off for a week, revealing the identity of the Bigfootery Inquirer. So, anyway, another topic was was it was something else. It was about some of the things. One of the topics was Steve's new job. Also, there were two callers, that being myself and Bill Green. I talked about the newest developments with the orang pendek hairs, possible orang pendek hairs and DNA. Um, Bill, of course, asked his standard question. He asked Steve about his upcoming book. He asked about, or he just talked about some of the newest things that are going on. Anyway, that was a pretty great show as well. Next Sunday will be the roundtable discussion, referring to the Bigfootery Inquirer. Steve might be revealing the identity of the Bigfootery Inquirer next week, or he might hold off for a week until the following week. Either way, we're going to find out who it is, I think, eventually. Anyway, that show starts next Sunday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/Squatch Detective. Now, tomorrow night on MNBRT Radio, it will be back at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, www.blogtalkradio.com/MNBRT. The guest will be Alan Berry of Sierra Sounds fame. And again, this should be a fascinating show. Alan co-authored a book with the late Barbara Ann Slate back in the 70s, simply titled Bigfoot. And there's also an interesting story about the minaret skull And I'm sure Al will talk more about that tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. As I mentioned the address already. So, as always, we do encourage you to please tune in and support great research.